What's up guys, Chris here, and welcome to Stoneblock 2. This is a mod pack over on the Twitch launcher. You download this, make sure you don't put a seed in, otherwise the world won't spawn right. But you basically spawn, it's a skyblock type pack, but you're actually buried in stone. Everything in the overworld is stone, there's no ores to be found. And you start in this tiny little hole, and you've got a quest, just like many skyblock packs, and so just like many of them, it's going to start by just breaking a repeated block. Now the stone here, I'm going to break it with my fists, and I'm going to get these tiny little pebbles. I'm going to use the pebbles to actually craft 4 pebbles into cobblestone, and once I craft enough cobblestone for the first quest, we're going to start getting these random rewards. Some of these random rewards are outrageously powerful. Some of them won't help us till later, but we start just moving through things. We build our crafting bench, we build some of these little kind of cobblestone parts, which can help us get, the initial chests and things like that, which are all made out of cobblestone. Our initial tools will all be out of cobblestone and rods and everything, because wood is actually a little bit later. And so we'll move through that. If you've ever played with sieves from Nilo, we'll be doing a lot of that. So we'll be breaking things down with these hammers, where cobblestone turns into gravel. If you just hit bakestone, nothing happens. But if you do cobblestone into with a sledgehammer here, that'll break into gravel. And if you do gravel with a sledgehammer, that'll break into dirt. If you do dirt, it'll break into sand, and sand will break into dust. And later we'll be pushing those through sieves and things like that to get different materials from consuming those. Crooks are also used to kind of guarantee drops on things, and that's how we first start getting our first saplings. And we have to actually mine out an area enough that we can do the little kind of crouch up and down by pressing shift to get this thing to grow, because right now I couldn't get any of these trees to grow outside of the original apple sapling, so I needed one of those to kind of grow until I get a little bit taller ceilings and I can afford to grow some of the other types of saplings that I got. And for now, those will just be stored in a chest. So we'll break this down. Now this pack does have tinkers, so we're gonna have to break a lot of these trees down to kind of get enough wood to get our initial tinkers up. Once we get all of our tinker stations up out of wood, I go ahead and make enough stencils that I can make one of everything and put it in the little chest, because I don't like to go back and make stencils later and know which ones I'm missing. So I'll just go ahead and place all 4 of these down. They actually interact with each other if you kind of put them next to each other in the right order. So I'll put a pattern chest there and then the stencil table on the far right, and we'll make all of the stencils and toss those in that part chest by just making enough of these patterns for the pattern chest there. So 12 is not going to be enough. We'll have to go back and make a few more, but that's okay. And that'll get us a chance to make our initial tinkers. Now at this point, I actually forgot about tinkers, and I went off and just mined with normal tools. That was silly, because that means I wasn't getting experience on those. But we got this party pickaxe as one of my rewards, and it's fantastic. It just tears through things. It's probably going to be a long time until we get a pickaxe that's that fast. That was really nice for kind of hollowing things out. So we mined for a while, and then we mined for a little while more. Eventually I turned on chunk boundaries so I could start to try to mine something that kind of resembled an early base. I'm not sure how the initial measurements will work out. It's Minecraft. It's always easy to go back and kind of adjust things later. It's just blocks. So we'll kind of mine some of this out. We'll mine to the end of this chunk, and then we'll turn back around and we'll go back the other way. I am making all my ceilings at I think it's like 7 tall. It's whatever height a pickaxe naturally kind of stops mining at if you're just standing on the floor. And these chests full of cobble are going to fill up really fast. Now let's get a silkworm. That's from crooking on some leaves, and let's go ahead and put that on this corner block here, and that will slowly turn all the leaves into these infested ones. If we hit those with a crook, we'll get our initial string. That's going to help us kind of tech forward. Meanwhile, as that was kind of infesting, I actually mined out the rest of the room here, and we should have a nice little room for kind of early agriculture, moving into some early farming. We'll go ahead and mine out our ceiling so it feels a little bit nicer. I've started mining out what will be our staircase, because I know eventually we'll want a nice staircase to higher floors. And so we'll make that nice and pretty. And now that we have a decent stock of lumber, we can start making torches more regularly, start making our lighting more than just functional, maybe even a tiny bit pretty. So we'll mine this out. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. And once we mine that out, we will actually go ahead and place staircases on this. And I logged in and out quite a few times just for short little sessions while I was watching TV or just had some downtime. And I just mined and mined and mined and mined. I have no idea how long I spent on this, but it's slow. I mean, Skyblock is at 256. That's the point where we get to go into the mining dimension. So I could just do a ladder and go straight up, but I'd like a staircase. I think it will look really nice, and it'll feel really nice to have kind of floors along the way. So you can see it's getting quite a bit taller. I think at 135 is where I kind of stop and call that a point where I want to have like a big floor open up. And so here's our first sieve. So we'll put this in, and we'll break down a little bit of cobble with our hammer. I went ahead and at some point I tried the Tinker's hammer. I don't think that's worth it. I think long term we'll be using the disposable hammers, and we'll push gravel in here, and that is how I will get my early ores. You can put a lot more of these sieves next to each other, and you can sieve a lot faster than that. There's also some later sieves that will allow me to do dense versions, so I can go through it in even larger quantities. So we'll have to tech there eventually, but it's time to make those Tinker's tools and start getting experience on a pick that'll actually get us through what is likely the mid game of this pack. I've never played this pack. I don't know exactly. Let's do the tool rod out of wood, and then we'll do the rest out of cobble. So we'll go ahead and pick cobble for the binding here, and then that'll be our initial thing here. We'll have to make a Tinker's axe at some point, and I did try the Tinker's sledgehammer. It just wasn't worth it, but initial tools, I don't see any mobs in this world, so I haven't worried about a sword or bow or anything like that, but I'm sure eventually we'll need them. And that will give us a chance to try this out. Now, unfortunately, after being on the party pickaxe, this is back to basics here. So this is the mining pick speed that just hurts. So it's going to take some practice getting used to that. We'll go ahead and take a quick break and discover how clay is going to work. And basically we make a basin out of these logs. So we've got our axe here, and we're going to put saplings in. I've been chopping down a lot of this, and you get quite a few saplings, which is good because it takes a lot of saplings in this kind of crucible of sorts here, this oak crucible, to get it filled with water, and then that way we can turn it into clay. An unlimited water source would be something that we're going to need to move to before we do clay in any substantial quantity, because that just took forever. I've mined out some bigger rooms here. This is maybe a future sieve room. I'm not sure. We've got our staircase up to like just a ridiculous height, and you can see all the cobble that's been generated from it. So it's been a lot of mining, even with making all the stairs and kind of putting things back in and breaking some down into gravel and all that. It's just a lot of mining to get this high. I've been kind of mining out some windows. I've got like a nice curve up here, and I want this to I picture that curved wall kind of maybe going all the way down. I'm not really sure. You can see my hammer there. I moved to a bigger hammer so that we can break things down at a faster pace. We'll take a look at that in just a little bit. But we've got plenty of torches. We've got plenty of mining done. It's just been nice early game. Early game is really straightforward in this game. In most mod packs, it's just rinse and repeat a really boring task, and it'll make the late game feel better. You can see the rewards I've been getting from early quests. Some of them are ridiculous, like draconic cores. They're just not helpful for a while. We've got some early agriculture, lots of different seed types. You can see that I've definitely grown that. Getting my initial grass was a real pain, getting enough grass seeds and letting it spread, but I did get there. And then I used ground traps to start trapping for some animal drops, which lets us move into chickens. If you've ever done a pack where pigs or cows are mystical agriculture, this one is themed on chickens. So there's the ground trap where you put things to get your first chicken eggs. These nests, if you put a chicken egg in them, will guarantee that a chicken comes out instead of that rare chance, which is really helpful. But they cost a lot of wheat. So we've got a lot of wheat here. We've got all that grass over there that I was using the mattock on to kind of find worms. And then we've got these chickens here. You can use the little chicken staff you see in my inventory, and that turns them into an item. You can stack 16 in a roost, and it makes them drop really fast. So we'll put those on there, and then we'll check over this breeder where you can breed them up, and they can actually get to 10 of all 3 stats. So 10 growth, 10 gain, and 10 strength. And then you can stack them up to 16 high. And so, I have quite a few of the, I guess, useless chickens that were just along the way. We'll find a use for those in a minute. And I have 10, 10, 10, 16 of them in my log chicken here, which if I go ahead and grab these logs, you can see how fast, and it generates 3 per one of those countdowns. So you can see that very, very quickly is going to get out of hand once we have a way to harvest that. I've also done it with sand, and we're working on yellow dye. I don't know that I need yellow dye. I just know that that's going to help me breed with others. So I don't know if I want 10, 10, 10 of my early generations for the breeding process when we get into more complex one. It's kind of like bees. So we'll see. I've never done that pack. So we'll go ahead and put those in the animal drops. We've got a cobblestone generator we got from a ward. And that's not really necessary with the amount of cobble we're mining. So I haven't needed to grab anything from it, but I have it just the same. And let's show how that hammer works. So we're going to go ahead and put down like 33 or so stone here, 20-ish, whatever. And we're going to use this hammer. Any hammer would do. The Tinker's hammer or the base hammer, or I have this compressed stone hammer. They all do it at the same rate, roughly. And you can see, even if I speed this up, it just takes a long time to generate a partial stack of gravel. Now, if instead, without speeding it up here, if instead we run over to a crafting table and we take and we make compressed out of 9 and we put that down, this is roughly a whole stack of cobble in 7 sets of mining. And I didn't speed this up at all. This is just normal speed, and you can see that we generated a huge amount of gravel. That's 64 gravel just like that. Now, to go back over these chickens real quick, I did want to show that use. So if we grab one, just before we kind of wrap all this up, you can see it can actually be cooked into chicken, so we'll get there. And yeah, you can see that we've made our way through a lot of these early quests. This was a lot of just boring hours that nobody wants to see. There's our mining dimension telling us it takes place at the top. I believe the end takes place at the top of the mining dimension, so we'll have to find a way to mine a lot very quickly, but we'll get there. The heavy oak sieves, though, the heavy sieves are the ones that do compressed, so then I could even just sieve things 9 at a time. We've got some chickens done here, and so we'll need to breed into some better chickens like the bone ones and the flint and all that. We'll eventually get fluid cows, mystical agriculture. There's a ton of quests here. I assume there's other mods in the pack that we'll get to touch in addition to those that just don't have quests locked behind them. We'll go ahead and put down this other cobblestone generator it gave us. How nice. 2 of those. And yeah, that's really what we're going to call episode 1. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Be sure to hit subscribe. We'll be going through this pack together. Take care, and I'll see you next time.